Welcome to Inside the Happiness Haven. Exhaustion is their strategy. Joy is ours. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Sarah Ratekin, otherwise known as the Honeybadger of Joy, and I'm genuinely glad that you are here today. Now, I want to tell you up front that this episode goes to some real places. Today, we're talking about anger. Righteous, justified, sometimes overwhelming anger. And if that's something you are carrying right now, I want you to know that you are in the right place and you are not alone. So pull up a chair. Let's do this together. And I do want to talk about rage today, not the petty kind, not road rage or the frustration of having a bad day. I'm talking about the kind of rage that rises up from somewhere deep and ancient in us when we witness something that is genuinely, fundamentally wrong. The kind that feels like it could lift us up off the ground, and the kind that, if we're honest, scares us a little, because we're not quite sure what will happen if we let it fully loose. And friends, I know that rage. I know it in my body, and I know it in my history. I know it in the work I've given my life to. And I want to talk about it today, honestly and carefully, and without pretending that there's a tidy answer, because I think and know that a lot of us are carrying that kind of rage right now. And I think we deserve a real conversation about what to do with it. So let me start by saying something clearly. Your anger may be completely justified. In fact, if you are paying attention to the world right now, and if you're someone who cares about justice, about children, about vulnerable people, about the dignity of human beings, and you are not angry on some level, I would genuinely wonder what you're looking at. Righteous indignation is not a character flaw. It is a moral response to moral injury. And it's your conscience doing its job. Throughout history, every meaningful movement for change has been fueled, at least in part, by people who were angry enough to say, "This is not acceptable, and I will not pretend otherwise." The abolitionists were angry. The suffragettes were angry. The civil rights movement was and is angry. Every person who has ever stood between a vulnerable human being and harm was on some level furious. But anger is not the enemy. Now, unprocessed, unexamined, uncontained anger, well, that's where it gets complicated. But the fire itself is real and valid, and I'm not here to tell you to put it out. Full transparency, I grew up in a home where children were not safe, and I experienced abuse that was extensive and prolonged. The kind that leave marks that don't fade and you don't always see until something reaches in and finds them years later. I did a lot of work to heal from that, and I continue to do that work. And most of the time, I can move through the world without that hurt little girl running the show. But there was a moment not so long ago when I witnessed children being mistreated, and something in me ignited. And it wasn't just the advocate in me responding to injustice, and it wasn't just my conscience. It was her, that little girl, rising up like a phoenix, wings fully out, ready to burn the whole thing down, in the name of every child who never got protected. Friends, the rage was overwhelming, and it was ancient. It was layered. It was present injustice stacked on top of old wounds, stacked on top of grief I didn't even know that I was still carrying. And here's what I can tell you honestly about what happened next. I did not handle it perfectly. What kept me from going fully into the fire was not a breathing technique or a mindfulness practice or years of therapy kicking in magically at exactly the right moment. Honestly, it was luck and it was fear, because even stepping up at all put me in a position of potential danger. And it was also conscience, because I couldn't do nothing. My conscience wouldn't allow that. So I had luck, fear, and conscience in that moment. And I've thought about it many times since, because luck is not a strategy. And I wanted to understand what I could reach for next time when the fire comes again, because it will come again for all of us. Here's something worth understanding about rage, especially the kind that's connected to traumas, old or new. Our nervous systems have a terrible sense of time. When something in the present triggers something from our past, it could be a sight, a sound, a situation that rhymes with something that hurt you, our bodies respond as if this is all happening right now. And the little girl who wasn't protected doesn't know that it's 20 or 30 or 40 years later. She just knows that the threat is real and danger is coming, and so she takes over. And that's not weakness or dysfunction. That is the nervous system doing exactly what it learned to do to keep us alive. But it does mean that sometimes the rage that we're feeling in the present is carrying baggage from a long time ago. And that layered rage, right? The present injustice plus old wounds plus grief plus fear, that is the most combustible kind there is. But it can also be the most clarifying. Because when something ignites that deep of a response in you, it's often pointing directly at something that genuinely matters, something sacred that got violated, something you were built to protect. So the question isn't whether we should feel it. The question is, how can we carry that without letting it carry us? How do we hold that righteous anger, honor it, use it, let it fuel us without getting eaten alive by our own fury? I would like to offer a few things that have actually helped me. And these aren't a checklist or a cure. They're just some honest tools from someone who has been in the fire. Firstly, I think it's helpful to name what's yours and what's now and what isn't. When the rage rises, it's worth asking how much of this is about the right now and how much of this is older than today. And that doesn't dismiss the present or invalidate the past. Those things are real. They're both real and they matter. But if we're carrying old baggage, and let's be real, most of us are, it helps to know that, because the response that the old wound needs is different from the response that the present situation requires. That little girl needs to be seen and held and protected. The advocate needs to be strategic and sustainable. And they're both real. They both deserve attention. They just need different things. Second, find the thing that's yours to do. One of my favorite questions lately is borrowed from the Lutheran minister Nadia Bolz-Weber, and it's this: what is mine to do and what is not mine to do? Rage without direction is consuming, and rage with a focus becomes fuel. So we cannot fix everything. We weren't meant to, but we were meant to do something. One thing that is genuinely ours, that is within our capacity, that moves the needle even slightly in the direction of what's right. So find that thing. Do that thing, and let the rest be carried by others who have their own peace. But to do that, we can't carry everything alone. Isolation makes rage fester. When we carry fury by ourselves, with no one to witness it or to help us metabolize it, it tends to either explode outward or collapse inward. Neither is good for us or the people around us. So find your people, the ones who understand the fire because they've felt it too. The ones who won't tell you to calm down before they've actually listened. You need witnesses and you need community. We all need people who can sit with us in the hard times and feel the feelings without flinching. It's not because we're weak, it's because there is wisdom in those shared moments. It's also incredibly important to tend our nervous systems like our lives depend on it, because they do. Get enough sleep. Drink enough water. Get some movement into your day, and if you can, spend some time outside in nature. Enjoy moments of genuine delight and maybe even some laughter. And I know, that sounds insulting almost when the world is on fire. Like I'm telling you to go take a bubble bath while the house burns down, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you are a biological creature. We all are. And biological creatures have limits. And nervous systems that never get to rest eventually stop being able to respond at all. And we can't sustain the work, the real long-haul, meaningful work, on adrenaline alone. So tending to yourself is not a distraction from the fight. It's how we stay in it. Now, I have to be honest about something else. I don't always get this right. I am human, and I still have moments when the fire catches me off guard. Those moments when the old wounds surface before I've had a chance to name them, and when I react from the hurt little girl instead of that grounded woman that she became. And I have learned, slowly and imperfectly, and with a whole lot of grace extended to me along the way, that the goal is not to never feel rage. The goal is to build a relationship with it. Know it when it comes and understand what it's carrying. Understand the righteous core of it while learning to hold it steady enough so it can actually be useful. Because here's what I do know about the people who have changed things. And I mean those who have really changed things, not just made some noise. They were not the ones who burned the hottest or the fastest. They were the ones who kept showing up, who found a way to stay in the work long after that adrenaline wore off. They are the ones who learned to carry the fire without being consumed by it. And that steadiness, that grounded, sometimes quiet, durable steadiness is not the absence of rage. It is rage that has been metabolized into something that you can actually use. That is holy, sacred fire when it's properly tended, and you are capable of that. I have seen it, I have lived it, and I believe it for you. So if you are angry today, I'm sorry, but also good. Let it mean something. Let it point you towards the things that matter and remind you what you're fighting for and why. And let it connect you to every single person throughout history who stood up and said, "This is not acceptable," and meant it with every cell in their body. Tend that flame. Name it, focus it, share it with people who can hold it with you. Take care of the body that carries it. Do your one thing and just keep showing up. That is how we change things. Not by burning out in a blaze of righteous fury, but by being the steady, grounded, impossibly stubborn people who are still here long after everyone expected us to give up. You are that person, and I see you. Thanks for spending some time inside the Haven today. If this found you at the right moment, please consider sharing it with somebody else who needs to hear it. And come find our community at thehappinesshaven.org, because nobody should have to carry these things alone. So until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and keep those flames holy.